Joining me now is Fred Guttenberg. His daughter Jamie was killed in the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting, but he is the author of American Carnage, Shattering the Myths That Fuel Gun Violence. Also with me, Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez. He represents the 19th District in Texas, which includes Uvalde. Gentlemen, I'm so glad to have you talk about this. Fred, you first, because this is still a proposal, but what is your initial reaction to this move from the Biden administration? And is there a part of the proposal that is more meaningful to you, be it the background checks or the broader oversight of all gun sales?
No, listen, my initial reaction is one of tremendous hope. President Biden keeps leading to do something about gun violence. You know, let's not forget, 30 years ago this November, the Brady background check bill was passed. It was 30 years ago. At that time, you didn't have an internet where people were able to freely buy guns unchecked. At that time, you didn't have an industry pushing these massive gun shows that we see today. And so what President Biden is proposing is a rule to make sure we capture all of those who attempt now to sell guns for profit and who unfortunately are doing so in a way where no background check is required. And that's where, you know, we always hear about the bad guys with guns. Well, guess where they're getting them? So I am hopeful. I think this is such a big deal. It's such an important thing. And I just urge Americans to do everything they can in the next 90 days to make sure they make it known they want this done.
So you're saying that this ATF oversight will allow them to better control the prospect of getting guns into the hands of the bad guys, just to put it simply. But here's my question to you, Fred. Are you at all worried that this is going to risk putting gun sales further underground in some arenas?
No. The reality is, and again, I'll go back to 30 years ago when the current background check bill was passed. It didn't even foresee or think about, let's just say, internet gun sales, because it didn't exist. And so by capturing who is a gun seller, who is a retailer for guns, what it's going to do is put more background checks out there for those who are looking to buy weapons. And no, I'm not worried about putting it further underground, because the reality is we must do something. We must stay in front of this technology. We must continue to do every single thing we can to stop the next one and save lives. And that's what this does. Before
I get into the law of all this with Senator Gutierrez, let me ask you, what is a viable argument, Fred, that the gun lobby and gun activists can say, like, you know, we don't need background checks? Does it exist?
No.
Okay.
There is no viable. There is no viable argument. Listen, when my daughter was born 20 years ago, we had 200 million weapons in America, and AR-15 sales were less than 2% of all guns sold. Today, 20 years later, we have over 400 million weapons, and AR-15 sales are now 25% of all guns sold. When someone is walking into a store to buy an AR-15, I sure want to know that that person is capable of passing a background check.
Yep. Amen to that. So I get to you, Senator Gutierrez. This proposal, as you know and expect, will be challenged in court, but it is rooted into the bipartisan law that passed in the wake of the Uvalde shooting, which then expanded who qualifies as a dealer in the increasingly informal firearms market. Does that small change, which originally was overlooked as a detail in this bill, is that going to garner kind of support that you think it needs on the state level to get over the finish line?
Well, I hope so, Alex. I mean, I think that people need to understand that 65% of Texas voters wanted to see an age limit increase. They wanted to see extreme risk protective orders, Republican voters. And they wanted to see universal background checks closing the gun show loophole. The fact is, people should go to these gun shows. If you're just wondering what happens there, go on the last day, on the last hour, and look at the people that show up buying from these so-called hobbyists. Look at how many guns that they buy from these so-called hobbyists.
And you know what, Senator, they're cheaper at that time, aren't they? They call them fire sales because they want to get rid of everything. So they buy not only in quantity, but the reason they can do in this kind of quantity is because they're cheaper.
I hate to pigeonhole people, but go in that last hour. And you'll be very afraid as an American citizen at the kinds of people that are showing up and the amounts of guns that they're buying from these so-called hobbyists. Republicans need to check their values because they have clearly have a set of values that chooses guns over people, that chooses killers over kids. And I've seen what my constituents have had to deal with, what Fred had to deal with. I saw it firsthand with these folks in Uvalde, and it's horrendous.
Well,
we need to do something.
Here's part of it. Background checks don't necessarily guarantee that mass shootings are going to stop. I mean, the scope is very narrow, right? The Jacksonville shooter last weekend passed his background check. The Uvalde shooter bought his weapons online, would have passed a background check. The Parkland shooter, who displayed multiple warning signs online, also passed a background check, despite his history of an involuntary commitment for a mental health exam. Others take firearms from family members. So is this rule as consequential as the Biden administration is hoping and saying?
It's a step in the right direction. We need extreme risk protective orders. We need to close the gun show loophole. We absolutely need to be able to do something about assault weapons. I've seen the damage that it does to a child's body. I've seen hundreds of hours of footage that nobody has seen. And it is devastating. We need to do something now, and this is now our time.
Amen to that.